If you want to learn how to make something look cinematic but with a very simple technique, then stick around because this video is for you. What's going on, guys? Ben Hess here, DP based near Los Angeles, and in this video I'm going to show you how I lit this scene from Wiz Khalifa's Can't Stay Sober music video. Now, usually when you think big stars, you think of getting the biggest crews, the biggest camera package, the lights, all of the above. But for this project, it was pretty simple and low-key. It was for an upcoming album that he was dropping, and they wanted to have some simple music videos to just accompany the album. And for this one, we wanted to keep it very simple, and so I essentially showed up at his house with a buddy of mine, and we scoped it out and found a few really nice locations on his property that I think would suit well for the music video. Now, in total, we ended up going for 4 spots around his property, but in this video, I'm going to break down the bathroom scene. Now, thankfully, I had a small grip truck outside, and so what they did is raised up some pretty powerful lights outside to shine through the windows. We brought in some big negative fill for the left side of them, and we brought in some nice diffusion right up into the window. Guys, I'm kidding. So do you want to hear how I lit this and how many lights we used? Okay, drum roll please. We used 0 lights. You heard that right, 0 lights. And so the whole thought process behind this was, in this instance, shooting and getting a good flow of capturing the music video was more important than getting the absolute perfect lighting setup. And when I say perfect lighting setup, a lot of times people think you have to actually bring in lights, but that's not necessarily the case. And so the technique I want you to understand is using available window light, but there's a few parameters you have to understand to make it work really well. What I did was we filmed the other locations first, and I saved this bathtub scene for last because I wanted the sun to set so it would already have this kind of cool ambient tones outside, and that way we wouldn't get harsh light hitting the window. Now, the second thing I did was I made sure that the curtains were pulled down, and I didn't get any footage of what it looked like before, but by pulling the curtains down, you're getting this nice diffusion. And each house is going to have different types of curtains or blinds, and in Hollywood they're going to bring in the perfect curtains that they want, and these just happen to be really good. And so I pulled them down, and that's what gave Wiz that nice, beautiful, soft light. And then the next thing to understand is that you want to look at the interior walls. Everything was white, and so it was essentially bouncing around and filling him with this really nice soft light, essentially like I would bring in a bounce board or something. The bathtub and the walls were doing that. And so I've got my outside light, which is the sun, I got my diffusion, which is the curtains, and then I got my bounce, which is the walls and the bathtub. And normally I'd bring in some negative fill because I love adding some contrast, but honestly I was getting just enough negative fill that I didn't feel like I needed to bring it in. That's essentially how I lit this scene. We kept it simple. You could see Wiz is literally in the bathtub with my director's monitor by his feet. He's watching it real time, giving me notes on what he likes and what he doesn't like. And now something I want to challenge you guys with is to always think outside the box. Think, how can I take this to the next level? And so I knew I wanted to have a good intro for this music video. And so we're filming, I do a few takes, and I look to my left and there's this mirror that's like 10 feet tall, probably weighs 500 pounds. And so I had my buddy Jacob position the mirror perfectly so that I could almost do sort of a reveal, and then it goes away and then it comes back to him in real life versus just a reflection. And I thought that was kind of a unique perspective to capture and, make people think like, oh, what the heck, where's he going? And then boom, goes back to Wiz Khalifa. And typical Wiz Khalifa fashion, of course, he's smoking, and what looked really nice was that color contrast. With the lighter as he ignites it, that just added a whole other layer of the cinematic look that I was going for. And if you want your shot to have cooler tones like blues and teals, a lot of people think you have to add those colors in with lights. But in this instance, all I did was lower the color temperature, and that's what achieved that cool look. So guys, it really is that simple. It's just messing with my camera settings, looking at the time of day, making sure that the curtains had nice diffusion, the right bounce in the room, and all of these aspects are what led up to this shot looking how it does. And I feel like it's pretty cinematic for 0 lights, if you ask me. And because this shot is looking pretty good as it is, you don't even need to go crazy with the color grading. And so I'm going to throw on one of my Denali LUTs to get a nice look that I'm going for. And if you're interested in those LUTs, they're in the description below. And another suggestion is, if you look at my angles, I started off straight, but then I got a few that were looking down on him just to switch it up, add some dynamic shots to the whole music video. So you got to remember, you could shoot things from different perspectives, and that just really changes the whole look of everything. And my camera package I shot with was the red Monstro paired with the Atlas Anamorphic 65mm, and I'm using my Movi Pro, and I've also got the Easy Rig. I think it's called the Easy Tilt. That way I can kind of tilt up and down. I've also got the Easy Rig Vario 5. I want to share what I'm shooting with, but I don't want that to hold you back from whatever camera that you're currently using, because I probably could have walked in there with a much simpler build and got a very similar setup. So just for those who are curious, that's what I shot on. And don't get me wrong, there are times when I use a ton of lights to achieve the look that I'm going for, but the point I want to get across is that you have to pick and choose your battles, and you have to pick and choose when you need lights or when you don't, and if you can make it look good enough as it is, and that'll make the shoot just run faster, and you're able to get more shots because you're not spending time setting up lights and everything. I hope you guys learned something from this scene of a Wiz Khalifa music video, so drop a comment if you have any questions. I'd be happy to answer them, and we'll see you guys on the next one.